Yo guys, what's going on? It's Ryuga here, and this time we're going to be doing some Perkless Legion. So a little disclaimer, usually I give all my commentary live, but my dumbass once again forgot to uncheck the microphone box, so now my commentary was lost, but I still have the gameplay footage and nothing to do with it, and I don't feel like recording 3 more matches. Yeah, so this isn't going to be like my natural gameplay, it's just going to be me talking over it and what I do. So maybe this will be a little more interesting to you guys. I can actually talk about, you know, my decisions, the logic behind them, and all that jazz. Before I get into the video, same thing as last time. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you check. 80% of the people watching half my videos are not subscribed. Some people, like in the comments last time, were saying that they didn't realize they weren't. So go feel free to check that out. And other than that, we're going to go into Perkless Legion. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say. See you guys in the matches. This match we spawned into Rotten Fields. There were 2 medkits, so we were kind of worried about it because it's a big map and medkits can delete pressure. So the first thing that we're going to focus on when we spawn into Rotten Fields is kind of arcing the outside of the map because it's so big. So we start with the most far right generator and we move to the far left trying to figure out exactly where they spawned. And as you can see, a bird over there at the jungle gym just landed, so we're trying to figure out where they were, and we found the thing right there. Lucky for us, she's a dunce, and she threw the pallet instantly. We have to be careful because Legion's lunge is bugged right now. The Claudette almost ran past us. So right now we're just focused on spreading Feral Frenzy to all 4 survivors. Whenever you come up to a locker as Legion, you want to be careful because you don't want to get locker teched, which is when a survivor jumps in the locker and causes you to miss. And I was thinking about spreading Frenzy to the person, the 4th one, but they got too far, so I decided it was better use of my time to chase the Steve. And he seemed like an easy target, which was lucky for me. So we're at 5 gens, 3 people injured, so we're at a good start. So now what I'm thinking in my head is I want to find the guy. Somebody just healed. I want to find the guy who I haven't stabbed yet. So going by that logic, I knew that they were over across the map, right? Because I saw them run when I was in Killer Instinct. So I have to guess where they went. So my first guess is going to be the gen I chased them off of. And then my second guess is going to be the gen further to the left in the direction they ran. And I walked away from that gen because it has the same progress it had last time. So using the logic I got from Killer Instinct, I find the guy who, you know, was on the gen, like I said he would be. Go ahead and Feral Frenzy him, see if we can spread more pressure. So that guy's running towards the hook, so we go ahead and end our Frenzy, so we gain back our lethality, and then we go towards the hook. We also know that there's a good chance that the healthy guy is still over there. Fang has Iron Will, but she was too dumb and she ran into me. So this is the part where we hook him in the basement. Because on Rotten Fields, the basement is pretty much your best friend. You have to use the basement to your advantage. Especially as Legion. Legion is insane with basement plays because he can cause the whole team to be injured. So now we're walking over to the hook because that's where they got unhooked because they just healed. So we can spread more pressure that way. We go ahead and smack the Steve in the butt. And this guy was waiting to get a basement on save, but we caught him off guard, so now he's not going to. We thought he was running away though, which is why we ended Frenzy, but she decided to sprint burst into us. So. And don't ask me why she did that. And she automatically tried to stealth again, which is super funny. Let me know what you guys think about this commentary, by the way, because this is not live commentary. I'm just voice-overing this, which is weird for me. It's different because I forgot to record my audio. So the logic here is that they're going to run in and get the unhook, so we slug Claudette for pressure, go back down in the basement, and down the unhooker. At that point, that's how we get the most pressure. We also saw somebody outside of the basement. Now, this play right here is actually smart, because if both survivors get in a locker, I can only grab one of them, and the other one will get to escape, instead of me downing both of them with my M1. That was a smart play. Now we're trying to go back and capitalize on the Claudette. And it looks like they were able to get her back up in time, but luckily for us, she's not in a great position. And at this point, the basement is ripping this team apart. Like Roddenfield's basement, if you cannot recover from the basement, you should go away and do gens or reset. Like, you have a few choices. I swung here for the Steve, but I missed. So instead of trying to kill him, I went for the hook instead, so I didn't drop Claudette because she was pretty far. Now I know the unhooker is still in the basement. And she happens to be right there. We're going to go ahead and frenzy her. Just because we thought maybe she would run out. And then she happens to give away her teammate who is hiding in a locker. Don't ask why. I don't know. But, you know, at this point, it's a farm fest. It's just downs and downs and downs and downs. And they can't do anything about it. He decided to kill herself, which is fair. At this point, the game's over, right? Now we're following the blood, trying to figure out who we're chasing. See if she would double back, and she had quick and quiet. Eat her on the hook. And at this point, we have no threat in the game at all. It's pretty much GG. I mean, it is GG. There's no way for them to come back from this unless I completely made the most horrible of mistakes. What I like to do endgame is prepare. I like to kick gens to kind of put up my own surveillance. I know I don't have the perk, duh, but if you have gens kicked, you see the sparks. So you know if somebody's touched that gen recently when you're patrolling. Because when two survivors are left, it becomes incredibly difficult to locate them and to, you know, progress the game any further because they like to hide. So now I'm just looking around. I know there's a Claudette. I know there's a Steve. Steve is loud. The Claudette, I'm pretty sure, has Iron Will. So now we just have to guess who was where. You will notice that we were looking away as we walked towards gens, by the way. That was to counter Spine Chill, just in case they had it. Now, he almost made a good play here by, you know, predicting our double back, but then he just kind of forehead played into us and just face planted. He almost made a good play, though. Now I'm thinking I can either camp the Steve and end the game, or I can walk away and see if the Claudette will get the unhook. Now, obviously, I'm not too faithful that a Claudette will get the unhook, but sometimes if you leave the hook, they feel bad, and they just run in and get the unhook anyways. And that's our only chance of finding the Claudette on this giant-ass map, unless we get extremely lucky. Because really, there's no other way. That's why you see me double back to the hook for a second, just to see if she's, like, crouching in. But we do realize that she's been hiding half the game. Every time we chase her, she hid in, like, you know, the corn or whatever. So I just decided the best chance of me finding Claudette is to leave the hook. And that's what I end up deciding to do. Luckily for us, it paid off, but it doesn't always pay off. Claudettes don't like to show themselves. We see the Steve in the corner over there, and we're going to use him to activate Killer Instinct. That way we can go after Claudette. And just like that, we have complete knowledge on where she is, and she cannot hide from us. So we know she's either in the locker or she's just hiding behind that wall. We end up seeing her at the last second with her medkit sticking out, so we were able to get a swing in. Right now, we're thinking about Steve and where Steve could be. The Steve has to mend, and we saw what direction he was running. So we know he's on the left side of that map, where we're facing at least. And that's where we're going to scout, because you saw he mended, so he couldn't have gone far. That's why you see me, you know, shaking my head back and forth, because that's me when I actually had commentary. I was saying that there's a good chance he's in that area somewhere. More than likely on that side, instead of going through the middle of the map. So I go ahead and I comb this area, because I know he could be over here. And I make a mention on how he can be in the tractor. And it happened to pay off, and he just was right there. So that ends that game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that match. Like I said, I'm not used to giving this kind of commentary. I like to give it, you know, live. So this, to me, is kind of awkward, but there's your Perkless Legion game number 1. Let's go ahead and move on to the second one. Yeah. I'm going to wait a second just so you guys can see the perks, because I know you guys like seeing the perks. We'll wait a second. Merciless Killer, just like that. Legion is very good at farming pips. Alright, there's the perk screen for you guys. They used a map offering, or a key offering for Killer Shack, and King Sparkles also had plunderers with coin. So there's a good chance that if I let the game go on too long, they would have keyed out, you know, I assume they may have been a Swift. Other than that, though, I'll see you guys in the next match, and we'll see what it has to offer for us. Alright, so we got Blood Lodge, and I was kind of excited about this map because Blood Lodge is one of my favorite maps. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So the first logic I do is checking for survivors in the arc. So I go to the right side of the map from where I spawn, and I start combing it for survivors. So that's what I like to do. I use what I call the arc method. I have a video up on it for spawn guides, so check that out if you want. We see the Quentin, so we're going to go ahead and try to hit him. We already know they're cranking away at a gen, so already we're at a net loss because we only found one survivor. We happen to get lucky finding somebody chilling in the basement as well. We also see where everybody else, or one other guy is, due to Killer Instinct. So we want to make sure it's super important to spread Frenzy as Legion. And you want to keep that in mind throughout this match. So I want to commit to her, but she goes to a jungle gym. So I make the executive decision to leave because it's more important to spread Frenzy right now than it is to chase her at a jungle gym that if she's good, I won't be able to get the hit at. Spreading Frenzy is the most important because you want to make every situation incredibly dangerous for the survivors. Because if everybody is injured, unhooking becomes extremely, extremely unsafe. I was keeping an eye on that gen to see if I could see pistons moving because I don't know where the fourth survivor is, and that's what I'm worried about. The fourth survivor, in my head, I know is cranking out a gen, which makes me uncomfortable because, you know, I want to protect the gens as much as possible, but at this rate I can't because I don't know. Since this guy's been camping pallets, we decided to do an old mind game where we just double back real quick, and we get a fast down on him. So we got it down, but the thing is that the fourth survivor has probably been cranking out a gen this whole time. So our main objective is to find him right now. Because we saw the Nia, and the Nia's injured right there. But we want to chain it to the healthy survivors. And we see the pistons moving over there, so we make the assumption that somebody's right there. And we happen to be correct, it is a Quentin. So we spread Frenzy to him, and our Killer Instinct reveals the final location of the last survivor who is not injured. Unfortunately for us, the gen got done. She did have a toolbox, so there's a chance that she had some kind of good, some kind of goodies in there to crank it out. So we're just going to go after her, hit her with the Frenzy. And now we're going to go back to the unhook because we know that's where they're healing. We don't want them to sit there healing. We got lucky and the girl happened to run into us. But here we made a grave mistake of respecting the pallet. It was a super smart play on her part. We had no duration add-on, so there's nothing we can do here. So instead of spending time trying to get a hit, we're going to leave, go back to protecting the gens, because chasing her at that jungle gym is just a waste of time. All the gens are over here. There's no gen at that jungle gym. We are trying to capitalize on the injuries. They have a really strong setup here with the long wall by the generator. So we actually could have been stuck here for a long time. But luckily for us, the Quentin doesn't do that great of a job. You'll see here in just a second. Unfortunately, I fall for a change direction dead hard like a dumbass. But it didn't matter because we still got it down on him incredibly fast. And now we have to decide whether we want to pick him up or if we want to slug, because we know where everybody else is. Now we can hear somebody on that gen working on it. And at this point, this is where light bulb happens, because we know the other gen is also being worked on. So if we down that lorry, we can chain it to the guy who's on that gen, and then like that, we'll have 3 people who are injured or dead. Quick double back takes care of the lorry. Now whoever's on that gen needs to recognize that they're in big trouble. But unfortunately for the Atom, he didn't recognize that fast enough, and we end up getting him down as well. Now there's only one more player in the game that we have to take care of. We went from almost losing, you see how many gens are being worked on, to being very close to victory. And we happened to catch a glimpse of her on the hill, and she just happened to fall down. Luckily for us, she decides to run away from the hook instead of using Sprint Burst to get to the hook. So at this point, I'm fairly confident in my head that this game is over. She made a huge mistake. She could have played way better, but instead she just failed miserably. And just like that, Legion's lethality when it comes to having everybody injured prevailed. And they didn't like that very much. But yeah, that's why I think Legion is so good, because he has extreme lethality. Because when everybody's injured, unhooking becomes a fucking pain in the dick. and everybody becomes extremely, extremely vulnerable. That's my favorite part about Legion. Luckily, the guy that DC'd saved us some time, so we can actually get the Lori on the hook very fast. And then we'll be able to move on to the next game after this. This was a fairly short game. It was like, what, less than 4 minutes? It was around there. They made huge mistakes. They were doing very, very, very good at the beginning of the match, but then they just decided to absolutely fuck it. So, yeah, it is what it is. That is how you capitalize as Legion with his power, by the way. A lot of people don't know how to do that, and they don't know that they should keep pressure spread amongst all the survivors. And they should end Frenzy and not let it run out. That way they can chain it to person to person to person, no matter how far that those people are. You know, it's a skill that you develop. So, yeah. Looks like the Lori had a brand new part, so that's why we lost that gen she was on so fast. Other than that, the guys didn't have too many gamer builds. The one guy did, but he wasn't really that much of a threat. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next match. Alright, lucky for us, we got Coal Tower, another enjoyable map on our end. Also a very good map for Legion. We pretty much already know where they're going to spawn, because they either spawn at the left or the right, so... Just like that, we found Fang. Here we actually really struggle to keep up with her because I don't know where she went. So I don't know if she had Lithe or what, but I completely lost track of her. I actually genuinely had no idea where she went. So it was well played on the Fang. You pretty much destroyed me. I feel like she had Lithe, but I'm not entirely sure. But she got away super fast. We found a guy up here. So now we can at least start chaining frenzies a little bit. Luckily for us, she's dumb. She jumped on a locker. A lot of PC players try to do that because they think that most killers in the game are bad, which they wouldn't be wrong. Unfortunately, when they go against a good killer, things like this will happen to them and they just get fucked. Now, for some reason, we're being swarmed by the team, and that's something I took note of. So you could tell it's probably a Swift who likes to get in the killer's face. That's the first observation I made. And I feel like as killer, it's good to make these observations. That way you know the team's weaknesses. And now I'm not too sure here what to do, because there's a lot of people kind of contesting the hook. You can tell the guy over there with Decisive Strike is really trying his best to contest the hook. Like, he wants that unhook. He really wants it. And then you see the other guy to my right, you may have saw his scratch marks. He's trying to get the unhook. And just like that, the guy with DS gets the unhook, and now we can't pick him up. Now, this guy also has DS, and we're pretty much boned. We can't pick up a single person. I'm waiting out BT. So instead of actually downing her, I decide to chain Frenzy, because I know there's a lot of people near me. Injuring the whole team at this moment in time is actually much better than getting some simple down. So now, I got everybody injured, and I can go for the guy again who has Decisive Strike, or just got on hook. She decided to spin around in circles instead of gaining distance, which was beneficial for us, because it let us get distance on her and capitalize on that. It was very stupid for her to spin around in circles like that. Survivors think it's cute, but, like, really they're just throwing the match by doing that. Now, I could have slugged there and went for the guy on the gen, but I ultimately decided that I didn't need to. Like, for some reason, they're being super altruistic, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I made the guess that they probably just decided that every killer they go against is bad. Just the way they're playing is super fucking weird. But I like to make observations like that, because when you figure out how a team is playing, like I said, you can use them playing the way they are as a huge advantage. You can use it as a bonus. Because when you notice how a team plays, whether they're a Swift, whether they're altruistic, whether they think you're a bad killer, you get to, you know, capitalize on them being absolute dunces. So that's what you do. And at this point, because somebody's dead, I don't actually have to use strategy anymore. I can just hold W and down the survivor. This Fang, throughout the match, was actually playing pretty well. I think she may have had Spine Chill Resilience, I wasn't actually expecting her to vault the window like that, but she did. She was making extremely good plays. I just don't expect people to do that. But she just keeps bot vaulting every single window, so I decide to hold W since I have Bloodlust and just, you know, cut the chase as soon as I can. At this point, the game's over, so there's not much going through my head right now besides just hooking and, you know, it just becomes a farm at this point. It's like unhook, hook, unhook, hook, unhook, hook. That's like the whole pattern after somebody dies. Based on where the last gen popped, we were able to deduce that the survivors were still in the coal tower. So we went after them, read the injuries. Now we go back to the hook because we assume the Elodie is going to go for the unhook. And just like that, we made the correct assumption. Anytime you deep wound somebody, you can assume that they're going to run straight to the hook. We decide to do the unthinkable and vault the T-wall, or the L-wall, LT wall. Which results in us getting an easy down on the Elodie. This guy we decide to hook on the hill because the hills are very unsafe places for survivors because there's only one way to get up them. We make an observation here that this girl is healing very fast without a medkit, by the way. So we assume that she may have had, like, self-care, desperate measures. But we kind of brushed it off because the healing seemed kind of fast, but I didn't know if somebody already had healed her. But in my original commentary, that's an observation that I made because I wasn't sure how she was healing so fast with no medkit. We just saw the girl on the hill. We know she's injured, so we're going to walk parallel to her. This is called, this is a good way to zone. If you, like, follow exactly how the survivor is, you pretty much cut off any chance they have of going anywhere else. Instead of going straight towards them, you walk parallel while still gaining distance. It's my favorite kind of zoning, and it works on most survivors. And at this point, we only have 2 survivors left, so we're just playing the waiting game. At this point, I don't think you need any more of my commentary, so I'm going to let it play out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You know, like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Join the Discord. I'll see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the rest.